Hello and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. For those of you that have been here since the beginning, I want to thank you. And for those of you that have just joined recently, thank you too. If you like the video, please push like and share it with your families, friends, neighbors, enemies, etc. In 1992, a movie was made called The American Me. For those of you that have never seen it, I suggest you do. It is absolutely a classic. The movie takes place in the Chicano area of Los Angeles. That's how it begins in the Zoot Suit era. It then goes to it goes and shows how the EME, or the Mexican Mafia, was created in the California prison system, and follows basically the gang's journey, or one man's journey that's a member of the EME, over a 30-year span. It's very realistic. It's the scenes that take place inside the prison were true, and are very accurate. And there's a reason for it. There was a guy by the name of, I'm sorry, I had my notes and I just screwed it up. There was a guy by the name of Charlie Brown, I think it was. Let's see, Mexican Mafia, I'm sorry, senior members of the Mexican Mafia. Charles Manriquez, aka Charlie Brown, who's a member of the Mexican Mafia. He actually helped the director with this film, gave him advice, and the scene that he helped on was when one of the members of the EME got sodomized in juvenile hall. The rest of the EME didn't like that, and for doing so, it ultimately cost him his life, and I'll get to that. Enter Sammy Viabla, aka Negro. Negro was born and raised in Artesia, which is an area in Los Angeles. Grew up cut his teeth gang banging on the streets of Artesia, and ultimately ended up in the California penal system. There, prison records will show that in 1984, he was a member of the EME. I'm not saying that's the year he joined, that's what they have on the record. And he thrived as an EME. I met Negro in 1998 when I arrived at the United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. If you have not seen the video I did on the EME, it's been some time, please do so. Go back and look at it. I talk about Negro. I go into detail about our relationship. Well, I talk about it. I'm going to go a little further here. I used to run with Negro and the Sureños. Now, in case people don't know, the Mexican Mafia is the trump card. They rule as far as in California, or the southern half of California, I should say. By far, I believe that the EME is the strongest prison gang in the federal system throughout the United States. And the reason is they have such a long reach. Who falls under the EME is a lot of the other Mexican gangs, specifically the Sureños, who originally started out of California and now have spread throughout the United States. So if I'm a member of the Mexican Mafia, I think a lot of them are based in Las Vegas, last I heard. I'd never even Googled it beforehand. This is from what I know for some years back. But they can, all these youngsters, Sureños and other Mexicans that are involved in gangs, are just waiting to put in some work for the EME. They are considered like they're gods in the world of gangs and prison gangs and all that. Anyway, when I got to Leavenworth, because I'm from Southern California, and in California prison system, whites do run with Mexicans a lot in the southern half of the state. In the northern half of the state, the northern Mexicans usually run with blacks. That's how it was when I was in that system some years ago. So Negro had two sidekicks named Spanky and Beto. Both were Sureños. And we partied a lot. Got high with the guy, often. There was a time when Negro was my cellie for like a week when he got out of the hole one time. We had a good relationship. Things really went south when I went to the hole for a dirty urine, and one of the guys I was running with had just bought some drugs. And as soon as I left, Negro had his boys go in and rob him at knife point, take his dope like that. And the guy was white. And when you're in prison, you don't go rob white people like that. Anyway, I talk about that in the video. I won't go into more detail. And then came the incident with Negro and I in the hole. I was in the shoe living by myself. I forgot why I was there. And a guy by the name of Jimmy the Jap, that's what he calls himself. I'm not trying to have to say a racial name. Jimmy the Jap came to the hole for the purpose of bringing Negro drugs. I think he got drunk and intentionally walked in front of an officer to get caught. Or or did he get it out of bounds? I forgot. But whatever the case was, he intentionally came to the hole with the packaged suitcase, that means keistered, up his rectum. And the drugs were for Negro. It wasn't a lot, like 10 papers, 10 $50 papers of heroin. Negro at that time was an orderly in the shoe. I believe he was a front-end orderly, which means he can go anywhere in the building. But to be honest, at that time in Leavenworth, any orderly can basically go anywhere. There's some exceptions, but they kind of ran amok in that shoe at the time. Negro came to the door after Jimmy came in. Jimmy told him, yeah, I got your shit. Jimmy tried to sit down and put his fingers up him, and he couldn't reach. Sometimes when you keister, it shoots up too far in you. There are different options you can have. First of all, if you got to try to relax, a lot of guys will then get shampoo bottles, stick it up, and kind of will douche it out. Well, Jimmy couldn't get it out for about a half hour. Negro was getting frustrated. He came to the door and he told him that he had to douche it out. Just get down there, get a shampoo bottle, and douche. He then walks off. Jimmy still can't get it out. When he came back to the door, I came to the door and Negro goes, come here. Now, remember, we were cool. We had a little falling out. He did replace some of the stuff that was stolen after I confronted him. But he brought me to the door and he put his face in the crack of the door and said, if you touch that dope, I'll kill you. He literally threatened to kill me. Now, I will tell you, it made me just bug out of my head. But when a person like Negro, who was a shot caller of the EME, threatens to kill you, it does a little something. There wasn't fear in me. I was pissed. First of all, if the door was open, I mean, so again, I gotta say this all the time. I was never in my life a tough guy. What happens was after I got beat senseless by a bunch of people and sent to an outside hospital, I learned that after that, you couldn't really do much to me. Meaning, as long as you show up for the fight, it really doesn't matter what happens. I would have jumped Negro had we had, if he would have said it to me face to face, it would have been on, just because I would have bugged out. Not saying I would have won, not saying that that he wouldn't have won, or if I would have won, he wouldn't have had 100 Serenos come back and kill me. I mean, it is what it is. But I don't know why he said that. This is what I'll say about Negro's mind frame at that time. He was totally unraveling. Why? Just before he went to the hole, a guy by the name of Chino, another member of the EMEs, showed up. I think Chino was from San Diego, I believe. And Chino just got a fresh 30-year sentence, had a note from the big homies, which means other EMEs, that said, take the keys from Denver. Take the keys, meaning the keys, when you have the keys, that means you're calling the shots. They took the keys from Negro. That means Negro was at Leavenworth for, 6-7 years. And here comes a guy, shows up and just says, snatch, you're no longer the shot caller. Negro was strung out. He was doing a bunch of funky moves, dope fiend moves. And it was getting back to the big homies or his brothers, other EMEs. And they weren't really happy about it. There was some Mexicans that are robbing in the prison. They usually don't do that, the Serenos or the EME. So there was some stuff going on that called into question his leadership for sure. Now, when he said that to me in the hole, immediately I didn't even want to let Jimmy give him that dope. And to be honest, after Jimmy got it out, I threatened Jimmy and made Jimmy give me a paper of that dope just because Negro threatened to kill me if I took some of the dope. I did. I did. Negro came back later and said he thought it was a paper short. Jimmy lied and said he didn't, but that's a whole different story. Within days, right at that same time, I got a kite from a white guy that was on B lower in the shoe. Now, the special housing unit, as I've said often, is like a county jail within the walls of Leavenworth. The county jail in Leavenworth, I should say. The shoe in Leavenworth is like a county jail within the walls of the prison, just like a modern day county jail. Well, it was back then. I was on C range with Jimmy. there was on B lower, there was a Mexican, a Sereno from Los Angeles, who decided that he no longer wanted to be a gangbanger, instead wanted to be a cum guzzler. I mean, he wanted to come out. This gang life isn't for me. I want to wear panties and makeup and blow everybody. Really, I mean, that's. I mean, I don't know if those were the words, but he came out. Okay. Well, when he did so in the shoe, and the way he did it was he waited till Negro came to the door and told Negro, "Listen, you know, really, I'm not a gangbanger anymore. I'm a girl." However that conversation went. Now, if Negro would have flipped out, you know, that guy could have then caught PC. They would have put him into a different building. Negro, he didn't flip out. So the kite that I got from a white guy in that range said, Negro is getting his dick sucked through the bean slot. Now, here's what's going on. I told you Negro was an orderly. A bean slot is the tray flap. So if you've ever seen a solid metal door in prison, you'll see that they have a key in the middle of the door where they open it, drop the slot, and then the food comes through it, hence the term bean slot. The staff back then used to keep the bean slots open a lot, even though that's considered a security violation. So after this Sereno came out, Negro came out too. Now, I do not know the EME's policy on homosexual activity. I believe that it's okay to get blown. I don't know. That's above me. Not trying to step on any, or I don't know. I do know that Negro would go down to that tier, pull out his stuff, and stick it through the bean slot, and the other person on the other end would put his lips on it and move his head around a lot. And he went down there daily, and people were talking about it. And let me say this. This was a guy that was a shot caller for the EME. That's like a bad light. No matter if it's right or wrong, if they condone it, condemn it, whatever, for other people in the prison to know, that's like it's a big deal. Negro got out of the shoe, as did I. We both went back into B lower, and so did the Sereno, who was now a female. I'll never forget the night that they put him up for sale. They pimped him out. So it's not uncommon for prison gangs to be in the prostitution game. Either they sell punks or they pimp one out, whatever. This guy's being pimped out. And it was $25 for oral sex and $50 for anal, or 5 books of stamps. 5 books of stamps at that time, stamps as the currency, was the equivalent of $5 a book. So 25 for oral, 50 for anal in stamps. Why do I know that? Because Beto and Spanky, Negro had them run around the unit and go cell to cell and ask everybody. And there was a line. I ain't gonna lie. There was a line. There was a line of people lined up to that cell for that guy. But the one who was into him the most was Negro. Basically, what had happened was Negro, like I said, he was unraveling, falling apart, felt disrespected by Chino, was getting high more, just running himself into the ground with dope. And he came out too. Like he was that was his pump. Not only was he pimping it, but he was on it. He was into it. And I'm not going to say in love with it, but he was into it, and let it be known. I left Leavenworth into 2000, October 2002. I don't know what year Negro did. I should add, Negro was indicted for the murder of Charlie Brown, the guy who gave the information to the director of American Me. It was a RICO case. I think it was like a watershed case where they indicted a bunch of EME and/or Serenos. And Negro got hemmed up on a 14-year charge. He got 14 years out of that. So it was a RICO case, but his overt act, I guess, was murder, that murder. He was the one who, he was indicted and convicted of killing that guy, Charlie Brown. Negro ended up at USP Victorville out in California. Not sure what year, between 2005 and 2011 for sure. At that prison, there was an older EME by the name of Rube. That was his nickname. Rube was like in his early or late, I think later 80s. For whatever reason, Negro slapped this old man. Now, not only, so Negro was probably in his 50s, let's say. So not only did he slap an old man, but he slapped another brother, another EME, a carnal. You can't do that. And sure enough, he was assaulted. And at that point, he had a green light on him. Green light means hit on sight. That's either assault or kill. So the EME put a green light on him. When I did my last video, the only video of the EME, people reached out to me and said, yeah, Negro died. He was killed in a homeless camp. And sure enough, let me say this. It was in around or about January 13th, 2021. That's when the article out of the LA Times. Reputed Mexican mafia member slain in a Long Beach homeless encampment. So it talks about how Negro had fallen out of favor with the gang, was shot over the weekend. Officers never found anybody. He was shot in the stomach 3 times. This was a murder. This wasn't some homeless camp little riff. Somebody targeted the guy. And what's crazy is this happened in Long Beach, which was Negro's home turf. So even though he had a green light on him, he returned and was living in a homeless camp. And I want everybody to stop and think about this. I know what the headline of this video was. I know what it is. I actually put EME shot caller unraveled, but on the thumbnail, that's the catchy, the grabber, right? And sure enough, Negro fell for a punk, for sure. Okay, so that's totally true. But the bigger part of the story, and this goes, I want people to really think about this. This is a guy who was a youngster, cut his teeth gangbanging in Artesia, and that Chicano lifestyle, became a member of the EME, which is like, that's like the pinnacle of success for a lot of those guys. And becomes a shot caller of a prison. Leavenworth was a serious prison, so that's a big deal. And then unravels. But he was always a junkie, right? But the way he went out, first as a known, I'm not going to say punk because he wasn't, first as known to be that guy who was putting his stuff through a bean slot in the middle of everybody. I mean, just think about how far from grace he fell in that life. And then he slaps one of his people. And ultimately, at the age of 64, I believe it is, was murdered in a homeless camp. A homeless camp. High-ranking member of the EME, homeless. In a homeless camp, was killed. And over again, you see people in the mafia, prison gangs, street gangs, motorcycle clubs, get older, look back on their lives, and it was all for nothing. It's something, it's crazy to really think about, though. And maybe it's hard for some people if you don't really know those guys or understand that life. But it just speaks volumes to gangs and organized crime. Over and over again. John Gotti paid protection to the ABs. I don't care what anybody says. Ali Persico did refuse a compound. Check-in move. Bonanno, crime boss, becomes a boss rat. Frank Wheeler, outlaw motorcycle gang, was not happy in his older age with the motorcycle club anymore. Told me that. I did a video about that. Guys that I know, so many of the guys that were patched up dirty white, when I got patched up, they're PC'd up, they've dropped out, whatever. And I'm not condoning them. I'm just saying. I know people, Chad does do videos, and law enforcement really takes it seriously. He does it to try to keep kids out of prison. There's other people that say they want to do videos for kids. Forget what I'm trying to do and think about that message. Think about what happens. And that, I don't care how old you are. And you know what? I know so many guys in their 40s that join prison gangs. I have a friend that's just called me from Thompson the other day, joined a prison gang at 40 years old. So this is not just for kids. This is anybody thinking about gang life. It's fun for a moment. And I guess if you were in, let's say, organized crime or a motorcycle club on the street, maybe that moment could be longer. But at some point, it's just all, you look back on it, and I don't know how many guys just look back and say, yeah. Now, I've known some. Don't get me wrong. I've known some. But the common theme seems to be something in the end just doesn't pan out. So I had done this video yesterday. I wanted to go back and redo it because I didn't like my speech pattern. I do see myself in different videos. Sometimes I have more problems talking. I don't know what that's, sleep or whatever. But this was more of an important video because it's about the EME. I know that people will see it, watch it because the EME is names on the thumbnail or whatever. It's true, but it's more true stuff I'm putting out. Nothing but. It's Thursday. Tomorrow there'll be a video or a live. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. Take care. I hope you enjoyed.